Hello everyone, welcome back to VAFA Tragics. I tell you what, I am letting the cobwebs out today because I don't expect this show to go very well, but hopefully it does. Nick Armstead, how are you?
I'm very well. It has been a few weeks, Lenny. You got a nice glow still from the Whit Sundays holidays that you took.
No, it was a lovely time up on the islands. You didn't miss me too much.
I missed you a lot. You know I missed you.
I noticed the love for Joey Pignataro wasn't quite there as much as it was in the first outing.
Yeah, no, I think he used a fair bit of it in that first one. Came back, he was still rather popular amongst a couple of people, those types of Twitter users, but not as much love as the first time.
So much to talk about. What's been your highlight of the last month?
Well, plenty. So I'm going to start on the weekend at St Bernard's. I think we've seen one of the biggest goals the VAFA has ever seen from Eden Sibold. He unloaded here from beyond the centre circle at the Snake Pit and got one of the best bounces you were ever likely to see, and it dribbled through for a goal. Now, I know we've seen some long goals. Mitch Brown comes to mind. He's booted a couple, but this, because of the bounce, is probably
might be the longest recorded goal in terms of it's on the vision. I'm not sure. We have to go through the archives. I'm not sure if there's anything longer. It feels like not possibly, but it could be.
Although there was one other highlight as well. I just want to put it out there. You might have seen it already because I actually tweeted this one in that. We do our tips every weekend, and I was looking at Collegians Trinity, and I thought, you know what, this is going to be a tight one. Always is a tight one between those two sides, and I tipped the draw.
Well, you didn't actually,
I tipped the
and
draw.
we've got evidence of that. Let's just roll the tape on the VAFA podcast here of Nick saying who he tipped.
Collegians host Trinity. If Collegians win, it'll put a nice gap between themselves, OMs, and Brighton.
They need a gap too.
Well, unless OMs beat Brighton. But yeah, I think Collegians should get this done. There's a certain number of games that they have to earmark that they need to win, and this is one of them.
They still play. Collegians still play Scobs, Blues, Zavs, and Bernards away.
Well, that's exactly right.
So there you go. I mean, it's not something that...
So...
Misprint, bolding in the record, double print. I've seen that happen a few times before in the past.
We went to print after the podcast was recorded, and so I had to think about it, and I thought,
Not sure if that's the case. Not sure if that's the case.
I did actually look at my email with the tips, and I think I had accidentally bolded both of them. But so...
Very good. I enjoyed Jordan Tunbridge, of course, a tragic himself. Not really a tragic. He hasn't been on the desk, but we have featured him on the show before. He was doing beautiful coverage for Macquarie Sports Radio and 3RW across the Wimbledon coverage. And his daily reports and his get-up was sensational. We certainly appreciated it. And I certainly appreciated the Wimbledon commentary referencing his moustache.
We remarked on the good tash, the strong tash that Johnson has. That man there has just stepped it up a notch.
Unbelievable stuff.
That is one good mo.
No, and just great to be picked up on the TV coverage too. A bit been happening over the break. Cricket World Cup, you were a big cricket fan. Did you enjoy that?
I did. I would have preferred another winner, perhaps New Zealand, obviously Australia, but the Pommies got it done. It was in circumstances which are questionable.
Well, I don't think anyone likes the way that it was done, but what a game of cricket.
Oh, unbelievable. You're unlikely to see a better finish or a better finale, I suppose, to any tournament ever.
It does raise the question how a draw's managed in football, in our world. And we know, obviously, in the AFL, they brought in the no more draw policy in grand finals, but it's been like that for a while in the VAFA. We get a result on the day if there's a drawn grand final.
Yep.
What happens, though, at the end of that 5-minute period? Do we know?
I believe that the extra time, timekeepers are told to continue until the next score wins, or at least that's what it was when the VAFA played AFL Vic Country last weekend, because we looked into it.
Yep.
Because both sides were so evenly poised. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think that would be the case. If it's not, I agree with that.
No, well, I think that what I'd like to see is I'm okay with it being next score wins. What I'm not okay with, if the end of that that second period of 5 minutes, the ball's deep in someone's forward pocket, and all of a sudden it's next score wins. I'd love to see it go like siren blown again, back to the centre, and then everyone knows next score wins.
Yeah,
can you imagine the stress
of
the crowd and the anticipation? It'd be amazing.
That would be huge.
Rather than just like playing time, it'd be amazing. Right, you go, right, you got one hit at it. So what are you doing as a ruckman? Are you thumping it forward? Are you? Where are you setting your ruck? Oh, it'd be so good.
You are thumping it forward.
It doesn't matter. You're just
going
for a point. You're trying to knack it to a runner to run through and kick from the centre square, and just your forwards are trying to punch it through for a point.
It's like, where do you set up? Because we don't have 666. So how many numbers do you set up?
It'd be amazing. It'd be so good. So I think it's got to have siren at the end of that second period of extra time. and then you go in and go from there.
I'll talk to Sammy Confay and we'll get him on camera before next week's episode and we'll get his thoughts.
Has to happen. Now, the draw, obviously, we say that. So I think you want to ask a big question about the draw for Trinity and Collegians. Should we start talking about Wimbutt Premier first?
Let's get into it.
Rightio. Wimbutt Premier results on the weekend. The game of the round was no doubt old Savs and St Kevin's 1 versus 3 at TH King. So advantage St Kevin's, and they certainly took the most of it.
Oh, they were unbelievable on the weekend. Despite missing a few key players that were playing VFL and that were unavailable, they were fantastic in the first quarter. Now, the strong breeze affected every game everywhere, and they kicked 4 goals. It was probably a 4 to 5 goal breeze. They kicked those 4 goals in the opening term, but what they did in the second term was that they were probably far more disciplined coming out of defence when Zabs had the breeze, and they allowed Zabs to only have 1 goal while they kicked 4 themselves. So that just set up the win for them. Nick Wood, Sam Critchley and Lockie Sullivan were outstanding, and the win now keeps St Kevin's within touching distance of Uni Blues and that double chance. And they are just peaking at the right time of the year.
Collegians missed an opportunity on the weekend.
Big time. Big time.
So dropped a couple of points, but obviously still in the mix for 4th. But are they a chance to threaten the other top 3 at all?
They are. I think that they are. They've got the top end talent, and that's what we know. They've got Sam Hibbins. Courtney Hilton's recently come back.
Spewing about a last minute chance.
Yeah, he will be spewing. He did have
Play the tape.
It was a drama-filled last 2 minutes. Courtney, it all started with him. He had an opportunity to put them in front. He missed. Kyriakopoulos. Andrew went down the other end for Old Trinity. He missed. And then Collegians had another surge, and Huey Johnson had a chance to run into the goal in the final seconds, but the siren beat him. So unfortunately, but for Trinity that's 2 games now that they could have won, the other one being against Brighton, where they've just missed out and they've drawn.
Yeah, but importantly, it gets them out of the bottom 2.
Correct. And they're now on the same number of premiership points as De La Salle. They've got a better percentage, and I'm just licking my lips over that round 18 encounter. Old Trinity De La Salle could come down to that.
Yeah, could be a big one. Old Brighton defeated Old Melburnians quite comfortably in the end at Elstonwick Park.
Now, this was a super important one because these are the 2 sides who can threaten Collegians in 4th. If Old Melburnians got it done, they probably nearly would have been favourites to finish 4th. But unfortunately, once again, they've lost a game that they needed to win. Old Brighton were absolutely outstanding. Elstonwick Park, it really plays into their wheelhouse. Tom Yorgie was outstanding with 25 and this sensational goal against the wind. Well, Nick Pavlou, who debuted for the Big V last weekend, he had 36 touches, and that's the 7th time this year he's had at least 30. He's finding it.
You've already shown some highlights from St Bernard's on the weekend, but how about this mark from Sam Woods?
Absolute screamer, Sam Woods. And Benny Huggard did one a few weeks ago, so they don't mind it out there. The Snow Dogs, they got it done pretty comfortably. Over Old Carey, 79 points, 6 unanswered in that opening term and maintained that thereafter. But Adam Bentic, once again, 30 disposals, 11 clearances. He's in Woodrow medal winning form, potentially.
Yeah, very good. Blues, another good win against De La Salle. De La Salle in trouble in the bottom 2.
Yeah, they are in trouble at the moment. Unfortunately, Tom Humphreys injured, could be out for the rest of the year, which will severely impact their chances.
Well, a couple of weeks ago on the show, I said Caulfield would go undefeated throughout the season. That's now over. Old Scotch have beaten the Fields at Campwell, albeit in a close game. A bit of a preview of what's to come in September.
Yeah, absolutely, it's a preview. These are the 2 best sides. Obviously, Uni Blacks in 3rd, but the Fields were out to 30-point lead again with that breeze in the first term. But the Cardinals wrestled it back. They were fantastic. Lockie Byrne-Jones was fantastic. Kicked 4 goals. And they welcomed back, more importantly, probably more important than the win, is that they welcomed back Nick Jamison from his ACL injury for his first game this year, and Jack Bull, who's been away with work.
What on earth happened at Como Park?
Monash Blues got a few players back. Old Geelong, I hear, lost a few. And it showed because Monash have run out 70-point winners for their 3rd win of the season. So Joe Harrison, Benny Hart, who was at Camberwell, and Nick Argento were some of those ins that came in for them. Nick Petering, who's played a lot more in the midfield this year, got up forward and kicked 5 goals. So they've moved to 8th and overtaken Ogs.
Camberwell defeated Marceline. Really important win for them.
Huge. They're on a 9-game losing streak. I remember we got behind them 2 weeks in.
We jumped on.
We jumped on big time, and then they just lost and lost and lost. But they were trailing by 22 points at the first break, and they commenced their comeback with 8 goals to 4 in the second and third. But it really hurts Marcellin's chances. They're now 6 points out of the 4.
Yeah, another season perhaps of just sitting in Premier C for Marcelin ahead of them. Also in Premier C, Williamstown COMS continued their undefeated start. So is anyone beating them this year after they rolled the Rovers by 15 goals?
I don't think so.
15 goals?
No, I don't think so, especially if Nick Ebinger continues to play. So he's played the last few from VFL, and if he continues to play, they've got it in the bag.
Alicia's going to join us at the desk. Alicia Min to talk women's footy right after this on the Tragics.
Anytime is the right time to get fit at Anytime Fitness. Access over 400 gyms across the country 24/7 and discover why more Australians train at Anytime Fitness than any other gym. Go online and register now for your free 7-day pass and feel something better.
Welcome back to the Tragics. Great to see Alicia Min back at the desk. How are you?
Very well. Angel Leonard, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Why are we going? I have to introduce you. You don't.
Oh, I don't have to.
Don't need to look at everyone.
You don't need to full name both of us.
We're 12 episodes in. I'm getting it now.
I feel special.
You just say hello. Good to be back. What you doing on the holidays? Is it holidays or work?
Work. Not much.
Yeah.
Yep. Just
Belted out the anthem at last week's Big V senior game
Yeah.
at
Well
Icon
done.
Park.
yeah.
Yeah, we've been
Voice broke
footage-
only 3 times.
Got some footage of that?
We do.
Yeah. Okay. It's
No,
playing over the top of us now.
no, it's absolutely not playing over the top.
It is. Yeah. We're just having a bit of a look there.
Just
Good.
have a look. On the weekend.
Okay.
Angel Leonard.
Yes.
Melbourne University, our reigning premiers and William Buck Premier, have notched their first win over
It's a great
Fitzroy ACU. It's like they won a grand final. There were so many of the girls posting about it. Listen to them singing the song afterwards. Elise Hay was named best for the 3rd time. It was her 3rd game of the year. And check out this amazing boundary line snap from Lucy Watkin in the 3rd, which was definitely a highlight of the day. So just fantastic to see. Every single team now in our VAFA Wilson Women's competition has registered a win.
Yep.
So just very good, but even better than that, going down to Division 3,
Okay.
Swinburne.
Better than that.
Swinburne, in 8th place, managed a massive scalp over UHSBU, who are sitting in 1st by a single point. So the girls there, it was like also like they won a final, even though they obviously have no chance of making finals. But massive win there.
So are we going? It's a great win for them. Are we going to see promotion and relegation? Is that what's coming into this at the
Only-
division levels or
Not in the division levels at this point.
Okay. So the Premier sections, yes, but
yes.
not the divisions.
Just Premier and Premier B.
Just Premier B. Okay. So what does that make up going to the last round of the? I might be a question without notice here. The makeup of the relegation situation in William Buck Premier to Premier B.
So William Buck Premier, Fitzroy and Melbourne Uni at
Yes.
the bottom. And in Premier B, this is...
Can they get out? Can Fitzroy or Melbourne Uni get out going into their last home and away
I
game?
don't think so.
No,
It's
there's
Q
both
above
only
them.
1-1.
Yeah, correct.
So they'll be loading up in Premier B next year
Correct.
at this stage.
A bit like St Bernard's when they won the flag next year, lost a lot of players and they went down to Premier B. That's what's happening with Melbourne University.
Yeah, okay. Very good. All right. What's some of the other stuff that's caught your attention over the break?
The rest of it's pretty fun stuff because
Okay.
we love the fun stuff
We
here.
do.
And first one kicking off is still with William Buck Premier, West Brunswick. So they lost by 4 points to Marsden on the weekend. But they were keen to shake it off. They were dancing in the change rooms afterwards to Taylor Swift's Shake It Off. And they're going to need to shake it off because they've got Scob Saints who are in second this weekend. So they're looking set for a finals run, but they'll want some good form heading into it. Whereas in Villains Party for Fitzroy ACU, Captain Jess Hayes was a Power Ranger with some teammates, but Teresa Zampaglione, we've talked about a lot. She couldn't have been wholly disappointed about her performance, her team's performance for the day, because she went as Mother Teresa. Get the holy? Yeah. for the party. I'm not sure if that's a hero or a villain, but anyway, it works. North Brunswick.
Surely hero.
The North Brunswick mob arranged a mock wedding at the hallowed Allard Park, and to finish it off, Caulfield Grammarians doing very well on field. They're on their way to a finals appearance. They've locked that in. They're in 3rd. But their off-field fashion on the footy field, they've continued that and they're looking sweet. This is Chelsea Fisher and Joanna Davey rocking it in the change rooms after game.
It's an amazing collection. What it says to me is there's a bit too much partying going on in the women's competition at the moment. A lot of dress-ups, a lot of parties.
One round to go.
One round to go. No, it is the season. It's the time of year when clubs have all their fundraisers and they have big parties and social gatherings to try and raise some money for the clubs. No, well done.
Awesome.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Oh, well done.
Thanks.
Short and sharp.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week. Women's footy. We'll come back, wrap up the show, and say goodnight. back to the Tragics. Time to wrap up the show with all of our social media and big questions. Nick, do you want to kick us off?
I'll kick us off with Pegs Football Club and their Instagram story on Saturday night. They had a hypnotist come down to the club, which is always quite funny. So Dane Pound, Cam Lavori, a couple of those boys and girls were all involved. They had fishing, riding horses, and even being sun smart. So take a look at what they were doing.
Quick, I know she did wrong. You forgot your sunscreen. Reach out, grab that bottle of sunscreen, quick. Grab that bottle of sunscreen and rub it all over your body, quick. Get there. The right hand turn, straight away. You're doing about 300 gauge per hour. And you can feel that power. But look out for the speed bump. Bang! Oh, gee! You just wait. Oh, come on, spank those ponies. Take those ponies! And they're coming around again. They're going to the boat, coming together. Alright, get them into the boat, get them into the boat.
I like it.
Yeah,
I'm a
good.
massive fan. I mean, maybe we could get hypnotised one day. Would you be open to that?
Eddie, I would absolutely.
I don't reckon I'd be susceptible to it.
You know, are you
I just reckon
too strong-minded?
I would just be
or-
sitting there and going, yeah, okay, this is
I've,
fake.
I've always wondered, we're talking the office, I've always wondered about hypnotists and whether it's real, whether it's fake, whether you've got total control, whether you sort of, I don't know. You need to be under
I'd
it to
love
understand.
to have someone have a crack at hypnotising me. So
Yeah.
any hypnotists out there, let us know. UHSVU, Maddie Hintz is the first female player to kick 50 goals in the women's competition.
Brilliant.
Amazing. Have a look at the video and take a look at the commentary in particular.
45-degree angle. 35 metres from goal. Starts it right. Head works it back.
Not sure how you take a look at the commentary, but you can certainly listen to the commentary and look at the video. No, it was great stuff. Great to see Madeline Hintz there kicking 50 goals for the first time.
Yeah,
UHSVU
outstanding.
doing a great job as well. On to the quick questions. Let's get straight into it. Are St Kevin's back into premiership favouritism after their win over Zavs?
Absolutely they are. Well, I've thought they were all year. But obviously, it was going to take some good management of their VFL players, but they've still got potentially Gleeson, Coates, Waite needs to come back. He was just injured. Hodges to come back from VFL level. So if they can get all these boys back, they're all premiership winners, except Waite, who is a former AFL star. They are absolutely
Brown too?
team to back. And Mitch Brown as well.
Yeah.
That's the one I missed. Well, when you're leaving out Mitch Brown, you know you're going all right. Is a draw the best thing for the comp, or do we need to play extra time?
No, I love the draw. I'm a big fan of the draw. Have you ever played in a draw before?
I haven't, no.
Gut-wrenching. The feeling is horrendous. And why would you take that feeling away from people? And that need for instant gratification, instantaneous results is something that we've developed obviously in the last decade with social media and things like that. Have the draw. Suck it up during the season. It changes the complexities of the ladder, takes percentages out of the equation.
That's the thing. That's the
in
important
finals,
thing.
Definitely extra time, and
Yeah.
definitely for back to the middle if it's all square up.
Yeah.
I'd almost be stuff extra time, have the first next score win straight away from the
Shut up.
shooter. Oh, that'd be amazing.
You're
as
just
well.
into that idea,
I just
big
think it's-
time.
I think it's great. Have Peninsula got the hardest path to finals of any side?
Absolutely they do. And if you look down in Division 1, they're sitting 5th at the moment. They've got UHS, West Brunswick, Kew, Preston and Oakley. They play 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 6th, 6 being on the same amount of wins as them in the run home. So it doesn't get much tougher. If they do end up playing finals, you know they absolutely deserve it.
They're probably going to win it if they do that. Rightio.
So I was listening to a podcast on the weekend, the Age Real Footy podcast, and Jimmy Bartel was on it, and they were talking about Brad Scott. So before I want to ask you this question, let's just take a listen to what Jimmy had to say.
Will Brad Scott get a senior coaching job next year, Jimmy?
Yes.
Where will it be?
I don't know. Maybe the VAFA. He might have to. He will actually take a pay. He might take a pay decrease to coach at the AFL. The way it works. The
What are you
old
trying to
Zabs
say
market.
about the old Zabs?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure.
So Lenny, which VAFA club do you reckon Brad Scott will be coaching in 2020?
It's a good question. Jimmy Bartel's obviously hot on the pulse on these sorts of things. I would say old Scott boy. So is Guy Martin safe?
He's safe.
Safe?
Safe.
Oh, they have to win the flag surely. Because otherwise they're going backwards.
Yeah, no, true. He's safe though.
So if they don't win the flag, he's still safe?
He's safe.
Rightio. Zavs, so they mentioned Zavs there on the podcast.
Yeah, well,
Zavs is going well.
Yeah, in his first year, and they're flying, obviously. Only lost the 2 games.
Yeah,
He's safe.
who might be looking for a coach, possibly?
I don't know how we'd fit in with the calibre of coaches we've got in our primary
That's a
competition.
good question. It'd be amazing. We've seen, Guy McKenna came from the Gold Coast Suns to
correct.
Beau Morris. We've seen a number of coaches. I think at one stage in Premier B a few years ago, 8 of the 10 coaches were all AFL experienced.
Yeah, that's when Choco was there as well, and a few of those boys. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh well, who knows? Who knows?
Very good. That's all we've got time for on the show. We'll chat to you again next week on the Tragics.
Spank those ponies! Spank those ponies! And they're coming around again. They're going to the